Hey guys, this is Josh from Midnight Auto Repair coming back to you for another ride and drive video. The weather here in Erie is beautiful today. It's brisk, but it's sunny, it's nice, and I got our 41 Plymouth out today. Get stuck in those 40s and 50s there and keep forgetting that it's a 41 Plymouth. And you can tell by the amount of chrome on this 41 Plymouth that it was made before December 7th, 1941, because after December 7th, this would have been a very, very austere car. You wouldn't have had the nice chrome hood emblem, you wouldn't have had any of the nice chrome trim, it would have just been usually body matched steel. But I figured, since a lot of you guys watched the review of me getting this thing going for the first time in 30 some odd years, I figured I owed it to you to take you for a drive in it. So we haven't really done too much crazy with this thing. We have got the brake lines replaced, we put a new brake master cylinder on it, and just generally futzed with a few things, tinkered with the points, kind of adjusted the dwell. She's still not 100%, but she's coming along. I kind of wanted to bring you guys in on what it's like to enjoy a fresh revival. Still has the barn dirt and everything on it, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright, so she's still a fresh revival. We're still rocking the very old, very dry cracked tires that Jim got at Sears years and years and years ago, namely about 50. And you'll notice that this is riding on 60s Mopar wheels with the 60s Mopar little dog dishes on it. And it's really, really a sharp car. And it's been cared for well. It sat in the barn, but it didn't get stuff really stacked on top of it too much. It just kind of waited for the right time to make an appearance. You can see Jim started a little bit of body work down there to kind of fix that big old pontoon fender. But I mean, really, if you come down to it, she's a solid old girl, you know? She's not really rotten underneath. The exhaust is still nice. These, I found out, Jim had made way back when, because the original running boards had given up, so this was his creative idea, was a little bit of plank wood, a little bit of foam, and some vinyl covering. And that's kind of how it ended up. But as you can see, she's still very dirty. But man, does this thing go down the road. We finally got it going for the first time and took it for a drive yesterday, so I figured what better time than now to take you guys for a ride in it. So give me a minute, let me get this thing set up and we'll go for a cruise. All right guys, so I've got you set up from the back seat position here because I don't really have a headrest that I can attach my camera to, so you're going to be seeing everything as I see it. So about this car, so very, very basic back in the day. Nothing too fancy. I think if you guys watched my last video, I went over the fact that this was a radio delete car. So normally the speaker would be right here and the radio itself would actually be right there. And I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. You know, we've got basic heater controls. We've got the vent for the hood to open it up, which needs a little love. We have our vacuum wipers here, headlights, choke, and I'm gonna start this thing up. I let it run for a couple minutes before this video to just let it warm up. But we have our starter lever under here. We've got a push. Sometimes she likes to be a little finicky. Nope. Probably helps if I turn on the ignition. Just saying. There we go. Give her a little choke because it's cold out. But I would say for the fact that it's been sitting, it's out in the barn since 1995, and then the last time it was really meaningfully driven was the mid-80s. I would say for an engine that had a bunch of what I ended up realizing were exhaust valves stuck open, not intake valves, when I watched the video and reconfirmed everything, that, yeah, it just needed to come back around, and really what it needs is driven. So, guys, come with me. We're going to go for a drive. Now, this has the old 3 on the tree manual right here. I don't know if you can kind of see it, but to make it go, first is 2U and down. And here we go. Kind of just gently leaving the neighborhood here. So what can I say about a car like this? Because this is a very, very unique experience to drive something that was built, 80 years ago. We all hop in our modern cars nowadays and we treat them just like an appliance. It's gonna get, you're gonna get in it, it's gonna start, it's gonna go down the road, it's gonna have no issues doing the speed limit or well there and of. Whereas this car was built at a time where speed limits really, if you were doing 45 or 50, you were really, really cooking it. I mean, this thing's probably capable of 65, 70. It's really happy at like 45 or 50 though. It's just, she's an old girl. No power steering, no power brakes, just manual everything. Which is nice, because when there's nothing to fail, they usually tend to last quite some time. As you can hear, it rattles. It's very much an old car, and on a imperfect road surface, yeah, it's gonna make a little noise. But I mean, really, the bumps aren't terrible. They had carved this road up for some reason, I'm sure plumbing or something like that, like sewage, but that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about this car. But I'm just kind of gently cooking it down the neighborhood. We're doing a blistering 20 mile an hour in second gear because she ain't geared for speed, guys. And hopefully this isn't looking like a rattly mess for you guys on the camera. But what we're going to do is we're coming out to the main road here. And we're going to just go down the road. Should be warm enough now too to kind of ease off the choke a little bit. Still a little down on power. There we go. That's all our gears. Like I said, it's definitely not a race car, and I'm not going to try to go too fast on this thing for the sheer fact of the front tires on it are 50 years old and pretty well dry rotted. But I mean, there's a natural feel about the steering. it's properly weighted to the car. So, you know, it goes around these corners. It doesn't really feel like it's struggling or stressed. And then the brakes are also a very natural feel, naturally weighted. You don't really feel like you're having to struggle to use the brakes. I'm going to kick the choke all the way out. Put a little speed at her. There we go. 50 mile an hour there, guys. I'm really not, like I said, I'm not going to take it any higher than that. But this car is just happy right here. It's got 80 horsepower, at least it did when it was in solid new condition. And remember too, this thing sat around longer than a lot of you guys who are watching this probably have been alive. You know, they got parked in the barn in '95 and it really didn't get driven that much between then and now. So we're just kind of motoring it up and down the road, taking her out and doing what actually really needs done, is it needs driven. So what I'm gonna do is maybe head down to the beach here. Now the turn signals on this aren't like directional turn signals. It's what's called a wigwag. What it is, it's just a little lollipop that kind of wags left and right and lets you know that you're thinking about doing something. It doesn't indicate exactly which way you're going to be doing it, but it lets you know that you're going to be doing something. I'm just going to turn around in the neighborhood here, because I really have no intentions on taking this on a long trip yet, because there are a lot of old hoses and lines that are a little less than happy. Also too, still getting used to a 1940s 3 on the tree, because I'm used to more of like the stuff from the 70s, 60s, 70s and 80s, where a lot of it's very well synchronized. And this one really is, you get second and third synchronization. You don't get a first gear synchro. So like, if you're gonna shift in first gear, you have to either be going slow enough to allow for it, or you have to match rev. But, I mean, you know, we've probably, between yesterday, I think, me, Jim, and his grandson, we probably put about 2 or 3 miles on it. Today, we're probably going to put another 2 or 3 on, and every time, it successfully gets better and better and better. It runs smoother and smoother. And that's mostly everything kind of just coming back around. We, you know, we flushed the oil 2 or 3 times on this. We're using Shell Rotella to kind of just clean it out. You know, it's got enough zinc that the flat tappet cam's happy. We have added a zinc additive to the oil. That way, or not a zinc additive to the oil, but lead substitute to the gasoline. And we're trying to maintain it and just make it as happy as it can be. And it really, it's worse for a car to sit for a long period of time than it is to just take them out and drive them. And this one needed driven. It used to apparently smoke so bad out the back that they would put him at the end of car cruises, because you would get just this blue haze coming off the back of the car. I'm not really getting that now. I'm getting a clean exhaust. All of the mouse nests have been shot out the back. I've got good oil pressure. I've got good temperature. It's charging. So, guys, if you see something like this in a barn, you see something newer than this in a barn, get it out. Sometimes they really don't require a lot of work to come back to life. This one, I mean, probably took a few hours of playing with the motor to get everything functioning the way it was supposed to. But after that, it's kind of rewarded us with a very nice experience. It's not a powerful engine, but it's torquey. I didn't have to shift out a third for that. I am gonna bring us back to the shop though, because I really don't want to take this thing out for a long drive yet. She's still proving if she's trustworthy. But from what I've seen so far, she'll get out of her own way if you ask her to. And mind you, this is also on 50-year-old tires. Some of the rubber's still 50 years old. We have one of the oil feed lines weeping a little bit, so I really didn't want to do anything too strenuous, just in case you had a failure, which is going to happen on something like this. You're going to find out what was close to wearing out, what's still good, what just needs a little TLC here and there. Oh yeah, I do remember I did have to put freeze plugs in this motor because the old coolant had actually eaten away at the freeze plugs. I mean, after 80 years, you kind of have to expect stuff like that. But, I mean, there's no other feel that's better than this. You get behind the wheel of an old car, everything's manual, everything's properly weighted. You've usually got some fun hood ornament to look at. Like this one, this has got the Plymouth ship with the sails and everything. Big old split window. Just a grand experience. So guys, you get a chance, you find something like this, get her at least working enough to take her out and have some fun. Fall in love with it. Enjoy the car. You know, there are a lot of guys out there, they find these cars and first thing they do is they just blow them apart, and next thing you know, they're sitting in the garage for years and years and years. Never get put back together. Enjoy them. Fall in love with them. Find a reason to want to bring it back to life, but bring it back to life in a way where you can enjoy it. This one, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. You know, the headliner's torn. It's got the old molehair headliner. I can actually feel the mouse nest in this one still, so I'm not going to screw with it too much. But guys, bring them back to life. Enjoy them. So this is Josh from Midnight Auto Repair saying, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed this ride in this 41 Plymouth, and I'll see you next week. We'll get back to the S10 because I promise there's a lot of good stuff there too. So have a good day.